Next is Judith Romani. Okay, she's the editor of Sephardic Horizons, the online, call it Sephardic Academic Quarterly. She married into the Romani family, a very special family of researchers of Libyan Jewry from Benghazi. She herself was one of the editors involved in the publication on Libyan Jewry. And I requested that she talk about Sephardic Horizons, but also Libyan Jewry, because we can't put 90 people on the program. You know, I'd knock you all out. So she's going to talk about Libya too.
Okay, so there are two of me, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible to put the homepage of Sephardic Horizons on the screen? I'm sorry, I don't know how to do share screen, but maybe that's not too difficult technically.
Natanya, you tell her how to do it.
Yes, of course. If you take your screen of the Zoom, okay, you can see in the bottom of the page, you can see an orange button, and you can see okay, we are seeing it.
That's it. Okay, very good. Perfect. We'll just leave it. Much better than looking at my face, and I'll talk. Okay.
No.
Okay. So many thanks to Itzhak Kerem and all the people who I see are supporting and helping this major enterprise. And thanks for this opportunity, and Mazel Tov, Mazal Bueno, and Felicitaciones to Sefarad HaMizrach for its 30-year anniversary, a truly amazing record in the internet world, fulfilling a valuable service, bringing us material that grows in quantity year by year. I'd like to go back to just about 2005, not quite 20 years, when I gave a paper on Sephardic periodicals of the time at a conference on Ladino held in Livorno. The proceedings of the conference were published in 2007 by the 200-year-old Sephardic press of Livorno, Belforte, which is still in existence and publishing Jewish books, even survived the fascist Nazi period. I was privileged to meet Itzhak Navon at that conference, who included me in the company of loquitos, slightly crazy people who study Ladino. Only Itzhak Kerem's newsletter and Ladino Comunità, to my knowledge, were online at that time. The rest were paper publications, the rest of Sephardic interest publications. In Europe, we had venerable academic journals published in Spain, the UK, France, and in Argentina. And in France, we had the less formal La Lettre Séfarade, edited by Jean Carasso since 1991. It combined short articles, a large number of book and music reviews in French, and proverbs, sayings, and short stories in Ladino/Judeo-Spanish. In Belgium, we had Los Nuestros, founded in 1990 by Moïse Rahmani. In Israel, there had been the weekly La Luz de Israel, followed by Aki Yerushalayim, which was a journal rather than a newspaper. In Turkey, Shalom and its monthly Ladino supplement, El Amanecer. In the USA, Herencia Sephardi, published in several languages, and the more informal Ladino language, Que Haber, published in Florida. The English language version, together with Ladino of La Lettre Séfarade, was published in a printed version, edited by Rosine Nussenblatt from the year 2000. It came out on a quarterly basis and consisted of material translated from French, original reviews, and other materials in English. and proverbs and stories in Ladino. And there may be others that I have overlooked now. There certainly must be. Today, the only publication that has survived on paper that I can think of is El Amanecer, but that is also online. The paper issues of all those journals and newsletters from previous decades, so rich in Sephardic history, genealogy, language, and folklore, are quite rare and deserve to be preserved. Aki Yerushalayim has been particularly influential in setting the parameters of the language, standardizing spelling, and influencing researchers and writers around the world. Its printed version has transformed into an online, more occasional and very elegant format that privileges creative writing in Ladino. In this changing publishing climate, we founded Sephardic Horizons in 2009. We are officially registered with an ISSN international serial number, and we are a project of a Jewish Studies Institute, allowing us to receive tax-deductible donations for our working costs. From the beginning, Sephardic Horizons was purely online, and this has enabled us to keep our expenses low. Anyone in any country can print out the articles for themselves if they wish. In September 2009, I had broken my knee, in Jerusalem, by the way, and my entire leg was immobilized in a cast, so that gave me some time to think. The idea actually came to me at a Visita de Al-Had of the Washington, D.C. area. Our Visitas are a fairly close-knit group, originally founded by Flori Jagoda, and the deliciousness of the food and the music make up for any errors in Ladino. The visitadores seem to approve of the idea. Sephardic Horizons tries to appeal to both academics and non-academics, who incidentally in the Sephardic community can be very knowledgeable. We have an editorial board and an advisory board, an editor, an associate editor, and a webmaster. Both of the latter go beyond the call of duty. I'm the editor, so I can't say that of myself. Article submissions are sent to readers who are qualified in the particular field, and we are not sparing with editors' comments, suggestions, and criticism. Some authors seem to be offended when their article is not accepted as perfect when submitted. But I myself, as an author or editor, feel that nothing is perfect the first time, and another critical eye on my work can only benefit me. For Ladino articles, we mostly edit very lightly, if at all. We publish many book reviews and occasionally reviews of performances or exhibits. And these, as long as they make sense and show that the reviewer knows the field, receive minimal editing because reviewers ought to be able to express their views freely. Some highlights from our publications over 11 volumes. An original essay by the Israeli novelist Aleph Bet Yehoshua, and an exclusive interview. A series of 3 articles on the uses of Judeo-Arabic by the professor and writer Sasson Somer, unpublished prose, poetry, and portions of a diary by Albe Memi, articles by Liliana Benveniste of Argentina, Rachel Amado Bortnik, founder of Ladino Comunidad, Haim Vidal Sefica, the father of Judeo-Spanish studies in France, Jean Carasso, founder of the French original of La Lettre Sepharad, interviews and articles by Rosine Nussenblatt, several reviews and genealogical articles by Ralph Tarika, poetry by Matilda Cohen Sarano, the Israeli author of Manuals for Learning Ladino, an upcoming review by Stephen Bauman, etc., etc. And I'm sure I have omitted some wonderful and very outstanding articles. We have also reviewed over the last 11 volumes most of the important works in the field. we have published about 5 years ago, when the subject was new to all, the first serious critique of the Spanish citizenship application process, written by Doan Ackman, a Canadian jurist and judge. An original play in Ladino by Jane Mushabak, and you can actually see that on the screen as it's in the most recent issue. If we can move it up. Can you? Yes, great. Un Otro Hermano, a play by Jane Mushabak and Lea Varsano. And special issues on Tunisian Jewish novelists, Greek Jewish history, Italian Jewry, Al-Bemimi, Jews of Libya, which is this one that you see on the screen, and several literature-themed issues such as Sephardim and the City, and the risks that Sephardic novels based on special sessions held at meetings of the American Association for Jewish Studies. The coordination needed for these special issues is far from easy, so we don't do these very often. I find that clusters of items on a particular topic, which sometimes occur naturally, are much more efficient and do not force some authors to wait for a long time to see their work published, as they wait for the other authors in that issue to catch up. Interestingly, when there are special issues on particular topics, they often provoke further material on similar topics. So there is a sort of conversation going on between scholars. An example is that a year ago, we had a special issue on Jewish history in Greece. Itzhak Kerem contributed an article, and more items on that same subject seem to be coming in now. You will understand by now that Sephardic Horizon's definition of who are the Sephardim is very broad, what some people prefer to call Sephardim Mizrahi. I personally, as described in more detail on our website, could you kindly scroll the page down a little bit so we can see the tabs at the top? Thank you, keep going. Okay, so you see these tabs. We have about Sephardic Horizons, which gives you our philosophy of publication. And very importantly, we have previous issues, another tab there, on which you can find every issue, every article, every review ever published on the website. It's all there. I think that's very important. They often provoke further writing on similar topics. And you understand that Sephardic Horizon's definition of who are the Sephardim is very broad. I follow the views of the late Daniel Elazar, who in his book, The Other Jews, refers to the common origins in Babylonian Nusach, Halacha, and Minhag, before the Iberian quote-unquote interlude. Thus, I do not have any problem with including such subjects as Arabic-speaking Jews under the rubric of Sephardim. Several loyal contributors who have since passed on, I'd like to mention their names: Ralph Tarika, Rivka Abiri, Isaac Jack Levy, Ben Sion Varon, Haim Vitali Sadaka. All of these made numerous and repeated contributions to Sephardic Horizons, and I'm very grateful. And of course, many contributors who come back again and send us more articles or reviews. We are very appreciative to all of them. Online publishing of scholarly articles is receiving more and more acceptance over the last more than a decade. In the less scholarly but important area of language, Ladino Comunità, and other informal online outlets such as Sephardi Muestro of Sharope Blanco, Rabbi Nissim El Nakavi's Lav Boss Sephardi, I believe it's called, the American Sephardi Federation's weekly and monthly publications, El Pueblo Judío in Mexico, which publishes partly in Ladino, are all very valuable. Some of these reproduce material published elsewhere rather than original writings, as Sephardic Horizons strives to do. Another original serial consists of interviews in Ladino posted online regularly by Carlos Yebra Lopez, an excellent use of the new possibilities of the internet. Sephardic Horizons tries to bridge these various genres to appeal to academics and non-academics. I hope we are successful. We have over 1,000,
Hi, John.
1,400 readers, no advertising, almost all original writing.
How are you doing?
And you may sign up. Excuse
Are
me,
you
I'm
up
just
for a
saying
visit tomorrow?
something rather
Avram-
important. My last couple of
Avram,
lines.
try to mute your computer.
Okay, I'll give you a call. I'll let you know when I'm closer to coming, okay?
Thank you.
Good, see you then,
You
bye-bye.
may sign up for priority online delivery, totally free, 3 times a year by going to our website or, of course, by Googling us. It's under subscribe, which is a bit of a misleading word because it actually doesn't cost anything. I do hope that people who are listening to me will consider doing that. Now I'll talk about Libyan Jewish studies briefly. I'm sure you can take that down now, please, Natanya. Thank you. I got involved in Libyan Jewish studies because my late husband, Judith Romani of blessed memory, grew up in Libya. In the 1980s, I translated an Italian classic by Lorenzo de Felice, an well-known Italian historian of fascism. This is it, as you can see, Jews in an Arab land. Does that come out? There we are, with a very nice reproduction of a photograph of a Jewish house in Tripoli from maybe 100 years ago. And that was published in the mid-80s. And about 6 years ago, Jacques conceived the idea of editing an anthology of articles on Libyan Jews, Libya being his academic field of specialization. This book sadly did not come out until after his passing. This is it, which was in 2016. And the book was published by Syracuse University Press in 2018. It consists of 13 articles by 12 experts and is entitled, as you saw, Jewish Libya, Memory and Identity in Text and Image. We have over 100 photographs, many very rare, and it has also come out in an Italian translation curated by the third editor, David Magnacci, and has received quite a lot of attention in Italy. In Sephardic Horizons, we have just published, as you saw previously on screen, a new issue devoted to the Jews of Libya. You can read these articles on our homepage. They're mostly by well-known scholars of the field, Harvey Goldberg, an anthropologist, Maurice Romani, historian and political scientist, and I'll show you here the book by Maurice, published, I think a little over 10 years ago, about 2009. The Jews of Libya, Coexistence, Persecution, and Resettlement, a definitive history. Another contributor to our recent issue is Vivian Romani Den, my sister-in-law. who is an oral historian and filmmaker, Jens Hopp, a Holocaust historian, Daniela Willard Kyle, historian, a new scholar who just completed her doctorate. We are expecting 2 reviews in Libyan studies for the next issue, written by Rachel Simon, who has also published a book about Jewish women and modernization in Libya, and another on an important recently published diary from the Italian concentration camp of Giado, in which hundreds of Libyan Jews died from disease and starvation. Belying somewhat the myth of the Italiani brava gente, Italians are good folks, Italian innocence in the Holocaust and its colonial wars. The book Jewish Libya was reviewed, I am pleased to say, in the first issue of a new academic journal of Libyan studies, Lama, published in California with a mainly Muslim focus. This is a step forward in acknowledging that there were actually Jews in Libya. I'll conclude here. Thanks for listening. If there were questions or items, please send them in the chat. And many thanks to Itzhak Keren and all the listeners.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Judith. It was a real pleasure listening to you. Any questions, comments? Okay,
I just
now
want to say that
oh.
I've really enjoyed working with Judith over the years. She's a wonderful editor. She's really hardworking and really bright. And I remember when we first met, I think in the reading room of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. when I was there. So I can tell you all that if you want to submit something, yes, she will criticize you. Yes, she might give you a hard time, but in a good way. And you'll learn from it and you'll write a beautiful piece and it will be published in Sephardic.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Judith. I'm sorry your name didn't come up.
That's okay. It's all
but
right.
there were many other names that didn't come
No
up
worries.
as well. And I really
No
appreciate
worries.
that you've been
I just wanted to say that you're a joy to work with.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I saw Judith on the screen from Sephardic Horizons. She's there, believe me.